welcome back everyone to Gel and Tell episode 13.
Woo!
We have such an exciting episode today because we are joined by the amazing, incredible Daniela. Daniela, welcome to the podcast. How are you feeling?
So excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me. I'm feeling good. Like when I saw you guys started the Gel and Tell podcast, and I was like, shit, I really hope that Nora, is she going to ask me to be on the podcast? I really hope so. And then like a few days later you did. And I'm like, yes.
That we had, it was quite synced, wasn't it? I was gonna mention it, and then you were like, yes, yeah, I wanted to ask you.
Finally, it's like a proposal. I'm like 100 times yes.
Oh, we're so excited that you're here. For the listeners, for those of you that don't know, Daniela is a fitness and wellness coach based in South Africa, but she travels the world, which we'll get into as well. We've been supporting her with her business for quite a few years now, and more recently, obviously through Gel, and she's seen some very cool growth across the last couple of years, which we'll dive into. But yeah, super excited to dive into the conversation. But Daniela, if I was to ask you, we're giving you 10 seconds to describe yourself. How would you go about describing what you do, who you are?
10 seconds, putting me on the spot, Nora. I love it. Okay, so I would describe myself as a resilient, supportive woman who loves to show up for others in a kind, compassionate way.
Ooh, I love it. That was sweet.
What did I say? I blacked out.
Did you practice that beforehand?
No. This is why putting me on the spot works sometimes. So luckily it worked today.
I love it. How long have you been a coach for, Daniela? I actually have no idea how long you've been in the industry.
Yeah, so I actually I did my personal training certification back in 2018, and I then started working in gyms, and then COVID happened, and then all of the gyms shut down. So everything was all very in person, and really enjoyed kind of working with my clients one-on-one and going to the gym and doing that. But then obviously when COVID happened, everything just completely was flipped on its head. So an online training, especially like Zoom sessions with a client, was just not really on the map. And then it was, obviously, with COVID. So then I was like, okay, cool. I've got a couple of clients who wanted to continue with this online thing. And then gradually, just over time, I've just transitioned fully online. And I found it to be so incredibly gratifying because I'm actually allowed to or able to show up for my clients better so that I can see how they're actually eating. Whereas with just personal training, you see these clients for like 3 hours a week maybe, but you have no idea what they're doing outside of those hours. Whereas with this online coaching, I've just been able to really support women better, which has been amazing. So yeah, I've been in the industry for now, my maths is not good, but 8 years, I think. Yeah, since 2018.
I would love to know, walk us through, what got you into fitness, getting into the industry. Is it a personal journey that you had that then made you fall in love with it? What was that journey?
Yeah. Well, firstly, I grew up on a farm. So I was very active. I was outside climbing trees, in the mud and all that stuff. So I was always a really, really active child. And then at school, I just loved sport. I did every sport you can imagine except water sports. I'm more of a land mammal. So basketball, hockey, tennis, squash, netball, all of the things, I absolutely loved it. And then I matriculated and then went to university. And I don't know, when I look back on it now, I'm I want to just kick myself because I just never thought that I could take what I love and turn it into a job. So I studied absolutely nothing to do with fitness. It was all about development, environmental studies. So EIAs, water management, and I just fucking hated it. But, it was one of those things that's this is what you have to do to, get into the workspace. It was very kind of old school mentality. And I just didn't connect the dots at the time. And I was always kind of training, after, well, I've definitely got a bit of the first year spread when I went to university, but continued to train and just really, really always loved it. And I started my very first Instagram page and just posting high intensity workouts because everything was very like high intensity cardio and all of this. And I'd post on there for fun. Eventually in 2017, I was like, I'm actually just going to, I cannot stop thinking about being like a proper personal trainer. I'm just going to do the course so I can like have this qualification and just see what happens after that. Absolutely loved it. Graduated with distinction, like top of my class for personal training. And I was like, hey, okay, maybe I can explore this world. And then at the time, my partner at the time, we started a company called the Bamboo Project, selling like personalized like bamboo straws and coconut cutlery, just to kind of avoid like single-use plastics. So we would
Yeah.
work with really big like local companies and things like that and brand them and all sorts of things. But that was never my passion. So eventually I was just like, do you want to carry on with this? And then I'll just do this with the personal training. And yeah, and then the rest is history. I think I always had a passion for it, but I felt like for my own self confidence and the way that I show up, I wanted to be fully qualified. So yeah, that's a very long winded answer to how I got into the industry.
I love it though. No, I think it's so inspiring. And I think a lot of people can relate to that feeling of like, you must go to university, you must study like a proper degree and like follow this path. Who set this path and expectation that we had to like have a job that is what's more like palatable for other people? It's such a strange thing,
Exactly.
but I mean, I felt that, and now I can't even fathom the amount of student debt I'm in.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
why did we all do that to ourselves?
I think it's just like this like societal pressure of like this is what you do in this order and like success is it has to look a certain way and like when your own happiness isn't taken into account then like what is it for? If you're not doing what you love then I feel like it's almost like wasted. It's all just waste, I think it's so important because you show up differently, you just feel a lot happier, which is actually all what we want at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, 100%. And because it takes up so much time in your day as well. Like imagine how many hours in the day we work. If you don't do something that you genuinely like love and are passionate about, like, looking
Exactly.
back, we're 60, 70, we'll be like, what was I doing? Or, like it's just I
Thing.
think fulfillment in your work is so important.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like I want to be able to like look back on my life and be like, wow, I really helped people. Not just
Mm.
like, made money for someone else in like an office job that I hate going to every day. Like having this really fulfilling work is just it's a really beautiful experience. Yeah. Feeling very grateful.
I think a lot of people are scared though of the idea of doing something different because obviously we need to pay our bills and mortgages and if you've got children to look after or people that you
Yeah.
care for, you do need to be financially stable to do that. So it is really difficult to make that shift and take risks, especially like in life and business. I didn't know you had business before fitness, by the way, and we won't talk about it for too long, but obviously you've got an entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah.
Was there anything that you learned from your bamboo business that you took into your fitness business that maybe we wouldn't expect?
Wow, that's such a good question. I think, well, like the similarities in there is like if you don't get it done, nothing's gonna fucking get done. There's no one breathing down your neck saying this is due this on this day or whatever. Like you are solely responsible for moving the needle and getting things done. I thought I was a massive procrastinator, but it turns out I was procrastinating in that business because it wasn't my passion. But when it comes to this, I was like, okay, so it's like easier work. So I think the main thing is like self accountability and setting these goals and realistic kind of like deadlines for yourself that stuff that needs to get done. Otherwise, nothing's going to get done, you know? But a big thing for me, and I'll never forget it, like, hey, I walked in on my mom and my sister. This was like after I graduated, hadn't started the business yet, but I walked in on them skinnering about me in the kitchen. And they were like, no, 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 she has to go work in an office. She needs to get that corporate experience and all this stuff. And I was like, fuck that. That is not me. And I was like, that's just not something that like entices me in any way. And I just thought, you know what, that's actually like the fuel that I needed to show you that I can do this, by myself. And yes, it's scary. And yes, we need to take risks and take chances. But I think with enough kind of self belief and moving from more of like a fixed mindset to a growth mindset is going to really just make all the difference, you know? So yeah, I'm very grateful for walking on them skinnering about me. I don't even think they'll remember it, to be honest, but I do. It was very like stuck in there.
I love that. I also love the what you mentioned about the transferable like skills of like working hard because it was your own business, even the bamboo business, like you had no one to tell you what to do. And there's this quote that I love. I hope I'm gonna get it right, but it's stop complaining for the results you didn't get from the work you didn't do. There's so many people that keep
Yes.
saying, "Oh, I wish I had that," or "They're so lucky to do it," but like what they don't see the work that goes behind the scenes. And when you have your own business, you have no choice but to put in the work. And if you don't, you don't get the results, and the business doesn't grow. And it's just so true. Like you have no one to push you. You're
Yeah.
your own boss. So that's, yeah.
It's been a
Yeah.
hell of a lot easier since working with you guys and like really holding me accountable with all of the things. But I honestly, Nora, I love that quote because it's like, especially when you go onto social media, it's everyone's highlight reels. Like, this is what I'm doing and this is what's happened and this is what I've achieved. And it's like, but you're not seeing like the hours, the tears, the blood and sweat and all of these things. So yeah. And I have to say, like working with Jill has been, I am going to punch you guys on this in this podcast, by the way, because it's been a total game changer. I just felt like, you know, every coach needs a coach as well, whatever capacity that's in, whether it's fitness or business or like mindset. And I think like with joining Jill, I'm like, you know, Nora messaged me on Monday. She's like, what's your number one priority for this week? I'm like, I'm going to try and do 1 chapter a day of my studies. And then I messaged her. I was like, Nora, I just did 2.5 chapters in 1 day. So having someone there for you is just really, really phenomenal. But yeah.
Thank you. I just love working with you so much. Always, I usually like catch up with G after our calls and the energy that I get from them, which is why I thought perfect podcast guest.
Yeah.
Bring this on. Honestly,
No, thank you.
You have such a positive outlook to like everything that you do, like whether that's work, your life, travels, all of that. Like, yeah, you're just such a positive like person to be around with and an influence. So I can see why like these women are being supported by you and they feel like they're part of this community that you've built as well. And it's what makes you a great coach, is that exactly how you position yourself at the start of the podcast, kind, supportive, wanting to make a difference. So yeah, tell us a bit about, obviously social media has been such a big thing for your recent business, the online coaching business that you've built. And you've built an audience specifically in the last year, I would say. Your audience has grown massively, which then ultimately brought more women in your community. We were able to like help more of them through your coaching program. Walk us through that. How are you finding being on social media all the time? Like obviously you now work with brands, which we'll get into, but let's approach the social media first. How did you find it having a business that relies on social media, having to show up all the time? Like what's that like for you?
Sure. Honestly, it's been such an amazing journey because in the beginning, okay, well, this is maybe back in like 2021, I was not posting anything about like my life. I was just posting fitness content, nothing really like chatty, but everything always like train, 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 train. And that was in the time when I was like very much into my super hardcore hit. Nothing else mattered. And so I think a lot of women maybe like they couldn't resonate with me or what I was about, or like, oh shit, like this chick's a little bit hardcore. Like I don't want to, you know. So I would be lucky to get maybe like 3 likes on a post until I started kind of showing up more organically and, you know, sharing my story. And I found it to be amazing with the growth that I did experience in my following. I was like, wow, like there's so many people who like what I have to say and can resonate with it. And these are so many more women that I can hopefully show up for and support. With that has obviously come the haters and things like that. And, you know, I feel like that's when you get some haters on there, you know, you've made it. I mean, my partner who's been on social media space for like over 15 years, he's like, well done. It's like a, you know, kind of like a feather in your cap. And I was like, but it sucks. I don't like meanies. But no, anyway, so then it's been great because all of the clients that I get to work with are all from social media and all from Instagram. Yes. Is all from social media. So it's gone from almost like this platform that I use to share my experiences to also then growing my business. But now I've been in like a little bit of a truthfully now, like I don't want to try and say it's all been sunshine and rainbows, but one of the things that has come with, you know, a lot of more exposure is brands wanting to work with you. And I've found that, yes, it's an extra revenue, like stream of income and everything. But I found that like a lot of my content is, because everything is so busy, it's like you're posting a lot of stuff for other brands. And I've had to put really hard kind of boundaries in place, because I'm like, guys, I'm speaking about other brands and like their stuff, which isn't, you know, true to like why I started this. Of course, I only post stuff that I believe in, but it's like my own business. Like I don't really punt my own business very much. And so I'm so grateful for the women who do still want to sign up with me and things like that. And I think it's a huge testament to kind of trying to show up as organically and as open as possible. So yeah, so more boundaries and more kind of just spreading the love and the knowledge.
It's amazing because I think when I checked this morning and you're on 85,000 followers now, which is phenomenal. Because I remember when you maybe had like a couple of thousand a couple of years ago. And so it is, if you think
Yeah.
about being in a room or a stadium or whatever, Arsenal won the league. And and there would be 85,000 people, probably primarily women, right, in a
Yeah.
space who knew who you were. Like, that is almost just,
It's
not comprehensible, is it? I can't get my head around how many. I just think it's absolutely incredible when you put it in a.
yeah.
I mean, have you ever
When
done
we
one of those like AI generators to see what 85,000 people would look like?
no,
Have you ever done
no.
it? Okay, right, I'll make you one and send it later.
Thank you.
Because it would just be like it's a huge crowd. Like it's like, you know, like a Glastonbury sized festival stadium fill out. Like it's so cool. And I think that just is such a reminder of your impact. It's like it's not all about like money or anything like that. It's like that all of those women or people are educated and supported because of the message that you share in front of them. And I think that's really cool.
Oh, thank you. Thanks, G. And it's like it's such an interesting. You mean you just see a number, but when you actually put it into like a visual, like visually, you're like, shit, that's a fuck ton of people. And then then you get into this headspace where I was like, okay, cool. I was like sitting at about 5,000, and now all of a sudden I've jumped to 85. And then you see the number. You just used to seeing the number going up and up, and then all of a sudden people started dropping off, and I was like, they hate me. Oh no. I'm like, it's really like, this is not what it's about, like the huge following and things like that. And the people who want to stick around and who resonate with what I have to share will stick around. And it's still a shit ton of people.
I love it. One thing that I was going to add to that is like, watching you grow across the years, one thing that you have kept is your authenticity. Like your stories are so you. Like you, if someone would watch you on the stories and then meet you in real life to go for a coffee, they would see the same person. Whereas saying we do see a lot of people out there with big followings that's not necessarily the case. The other thing was you did grow your following by not copying anyone. You know, you and Serge have put so much time and effort into your content. The quality is there. The science-backed information is there. You're so like matter of fact, like you say it how it is. And I think the right people then come through because, like you said, they want to be there.
Thank you. I really appreciate that, because and I think like it just requires so much effort to not show up as you are. Like, how many different masks do we need? It's just easier to just be yourself. And I really appreciate the comment on the content, because Serge, I love the man, but goodness gracious me, he is a serious perfectionist when it comes to like filming and editing, and like I really value his time, and like he is like the brains behind it, looking so polished. So yeah, I appreciate that.
How do you guys like because I know we spoke about this maybe like a year ago or so on like a webinar that we did. And you were sharing with the community kind of like your content creation process, and obviously with the way that the platforms change so much on social media, what's your current content creation process? Are you guys using AI at all? Like, so many people are talking about Claude. Like, would love to know, how are you guys creating such amazing content right now in this climate?
Yeah, sure. So basically we don't, I mean, it depends what the topic is, but I used to kind of just rock up and not really have a script. But now I do have a script, because it's obviously like, it's just quicker. I like to use ChatGPT as like an outline, but then I will get like the idea, but then I will write it myself, because it's like you can immediately tell when someone is just reading something that's off ChatGPT. Like, Serge will sit there on social media and be like, really? You just read it straight off ChatGPT? So I find like, no amount of like AI can really get through who you are as a person and the way that you speak and come across. And so if I'm stumped for ideas and things like that, I'll be like, cool, like, let me know what's coming up for you. Her name is Kathy, Chatty Kathy. So that's the name of Ask Kathy. I'll be like, okay, this is my topic, like hit me up, and then I'll just, take some ideas, but then go into my notes and then rewrite my own thing. That's like the extent to the AI that I use. Because I just think it's making it increasingly easy to just kind of bust out content if you're just solely using AI and ChatGPT to just create it all for you, which is a fantastic tool. But I think you should never fall into the trap of just becoming complacent and allowing that to just be you, which it's not.
It doesn't have like personality, points of view, opinions. ChatGPT is the biggest yes man you'll ever meet. If you said, we were speaking to one of our clients today, and she's a fantastic dating and relationships coach, and she said, do not go to ChatGPT for dating and relationships advice, because if you told it you'd run your husband over with a car, it would go, oh, and I really understand why you did that, but
so true. It's so true. It's like, oh man, I can totally understand why you ran your husband over with a car.
But maybe like this is how we should hide the body. And it's like, it's for some reason it just always agrees. And if you say, you know what, Kathy, like this post maybe isn't quite aligned and I think this isn't correct, you're so right, Daniela.
Yes.
Good catch.
Yeah. Yes.
And then I was like, well, why did you not tell me when I first asked you?
Exactly. It does say ChatGPT can make mistakes. Always double check your information.
Yeah.
But it is the biggest yes man.
So crazy. I needed to create a kind of like layovers for a piece of content, and it was about the menstrual cycle. So I was like, okay, I want you to give me the menstrual cycle with the hormonal fluctuations, and then I want another 2 just highlighting the follicular, and then another one just highlighting the luteal. Like that's all. I just could not get it right. Like the number of days in the month, it would go like 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9, 15, 20, 9, 10, 11, 12. I was like, no, luteal was spelled wrong. And then I was like, eventually after like 3 times, I was like, how are you not getting this? You are supposed to be smart. And she goes, sorry, babes, you're so right. You know what? I need to do better. Just like, yeah.
It's one of those where it's such a great tool and we've got access to so much information and it can really make you efficient, but it cannot replace authentic, quality content that people actually connect to, because you can't really connect to a robot. So I think it's really, really amazing to hear that you do actually write all of your content and you're not, these people that say, oh, I grew my audience by 100K using Claude or ChatGPT, probably didn't.
Yeah.
But it is good.
It is, yeah. It is very clickbaity for sure. I have a list of like content ideas, and I think we often think that like content needs to be like super long and like really like in depth. And I'm like, no, it can be like 30 seconds.
You're so good at your stories. Like they're funny, they're so like positive. I just love like going through them. Even yesterday, when what stood out to me, someone asked you, what's the cost of your online coaching? We're like, first of all, not a cost. So I was like, yeah, Daniela.
I have so many people going, cost. What's the cost? What's the cost? And I'm just like, it's not a cost. It's an investment. And the thing is, when you tell people, no matter what the price is, whether it's high, low, in between, people are often very like, ooh, I don't know if I can afford that. But then I'm like, okay, so cool. How many times a week do you go out for dinner? How often do you online shop for like instant gratification and things like that? Like how much money do you spend a month on those things, which yes, can add value in different ways, but it's not actually helping you to change your habits and things that are keeping you stuck, So it's like when you can put it into perspective for them and of like, what you'll pay for coaching is maybe like 2 or 3 dinners out a month. Like, and you're getting far more value out of it as well. So I think, yeah, when people use the word cost, it just irks me. It really irks me.
It's so true, though. I think just because they don't really see the value before they have that conversation to see if it would be for them. And then also, they don't put together, like, what am I actually currently spending and what could I gain from spending that on coaching instead?
Yeah.
But yeah, that stood out to me so much. I was like,
Yeah.
go, Daniela.
That's not the first time I've corrected people. And like the person who asked the question, they were like, sorry, I didn't mean to offend you. And I was like, no, I'm just showing you that vocabulary is very important when we talk about these things. And I think maybe what causes people to be a little bit hesitant is they maybe see it as another expense because they're not getting immediate results now as they would with something else that they would buy. You know what I mean? It's not this physical product.
Yeah.
It's something that requires you to get uncomfortable and to show up and change your lifestyle and your habits. And so it's like, I'm like now at this extra expense for something that I'm not getting immediately. Like, so it's about just like flipping the narrative and trying to shift your mindset towards like long term. It's like, cool, maybe you want like a big old juicy dump truck right now. But it's like, what about like when you're older, when you're like in your 80s and you, God forbid, you don't fall down, but if you do, you bring yourself back up instead of breaking a hip, and seeing like the long-term value in that. I think, yeah, being intrinsically motivated far outweighs being extrinsically motivated,
I read something the other day, and it was talking about muscle in general and how you can't rush the process, and anyone that has muscle has worked hard for it and earned it. And I thought it was the way that they articulated it was essentially like there's no instant gratification when it comes to building muscle. You can maybe quickly lose a bit of body fat, but you can't quickly build genuine muscle. And it shows resilience, determination, commitment, strong mindset. And like, I just thought it was the most like beautiful thing. So I was like, yeah, anyone that does build muscle is really committed to themselves and shows that they will stick to the boring thing over and over again. And I was just like,
Yeah.
I do respect anyone that has muscle because it does take time, effort, and work. And you literally cannot put a price on that. Like you say, the longevity, the confidence, the strength, being the person that can pick up all the bags on the aeroplane and not even have to ask for help. It's like I just think it's the best thing ever. And it's just sad that so many people don't get to experience it because they wouldn't invest the time or the money into learning how to build muscle.
Yeah, and especially I think like in a society where you can literally buy skinny, like to be able to show that you have put in the time and the effort and have done the boring shit over and over and over and over again, which is repeating your movements. I mean, Nora, you'll also get this now with your bodybuilding routine that you're doing too. And it's like you have to show up and you have to do the mundane, boring stuff. And in a world where we want like quick dopamine fixes and things that are different and like, I used to teach group classes back in the day, like before COVID happened. And I know for a fact, like with group classes, they're amazing for getting you out off the couch. It's got that social element and things like that. But in terms of like getting results, you need that repetition in exercises. Like for me, I was like, okay, how can we make this super fun? Last week we did this, but now let's maybe change it up and do this. And it's like, that's not the recipe for success. So yeah, sticking with the boring stuff in a world where you can just buy skinny is incredibly admirable.
100%. I love that. I had the minutes of Stairmaster cardio the other day, right? And I posted a story about it, and the comments that I got, I know, it's disgusting, right? It's not great. I mean, I
The
did
story, yeah, I was like, Godspeed.
enjoy it, but I did get so many replies to that story being like, how can you do this? Like, it's unbearable. Like, I would never be. And I was like, no, you can do this if you decide that you will. Because like the thing is, with anything that you do in life, whether obviously the Stairmaster is not very enjoyable, guys. I'm not like,
But also, Nora, you could choose any cardio, but you choose the Stairmaster, so don't pretend you have to do
with anything,
you
right?
go on a run, for God's sake. You could be out in the beautiful Cypriot air running, but you chose to be on the stairs.
My Stairmaster, listening to Beyonce, just vibing, you know?
Girl, yeah, I love it.
It is great. And I'm visualizing myself on stage, right? That's what, yeah. I'm
And
like,
it's
the
gonna
pain is
happen.
worth it. Yeah. But I got so many replies. And then what I was thinking to myself is like, you can either choose to show up and do the thing no matter how boring it is, or you can choose to make excuses. The choice is yours, really. Like, no matter what you have going on in life, obviously everyone has got things going on, and I'm not saying that some people don't have it worse than others, and like there's times in life that we go through things that might come in the way of us showing up for ourselves. But doing even a bit of movement, no matter what that is, it doesn't have to be weights, it doesn't have to be the Stairmaster, it doesn't have to be running, it just has to be something to keep you moving. I think it should be a non-negotiable for anyone. It should be as non-negotiable as it is brushing your teeth. It's so beneficial when it comes to longevity, health overall. Like, anyone can benefit from just moving more. And it's like, you can respond to that story all you want and say, oh, I could never do this, but the reality is you just choose not to. You can get up and go for a walk if you want to and not make excuses for it.
Oh my goodness, I have got so many things that I wanted to touch on here.
Do it. Go for it.
Okay, so firstly, I 100% agree with you. Like, and I know this sounds so cheesy, but it's like, choose your hard. It's hard to stay as you are. It's hard to make a change. So like, where do you choose to stay stuck? And like, the human body wasn't meant to be sedentary. Like, we're meant to get up and move and things like that. And I have, a couple of, when I start working with clients and I read their onboarding form, and it's like, oh, I go to gym 3 times a week, but my daily steps are like 3,000. And I'm like, just because you went to the gym for an hour doesn't, you don't just get to like not move for the rest of the day, And I think it's so important to like shift from this all or nothing mindset to like an all or something. Like, something is better than nothing. We often think because it's not big and like this grandiose thing, it's not going to help in any way. And that couldn't be further from the truth. And that's why I always say to my clients, like, consistently average, because if we are good from Monday to, let's say, Thursday, we've restricted ourselves and we've just created this whole thing of where we're only eating like fucking lettuce leaves and cardboard. And then by the time the weekend comes, your brain is already mentally checking out because it's end of the week. I'm tired. I've restricted myself. So now I'm going to just fuck it. I'm going to just have whatever I want to eat. And, I see this all the time with my clients, is wanting to be perfect all the time. And it's better to just show up consistently average rather than like inconsistently perfectly. You know what I mean? And so it's like, you have like the one donut or the one little packet of chips, and then, oh, well, I may as well just throw it all down the drain. It's like, no, like, that's a cop-out excuse, no offense, because you still have the choice and the free will to say, okay, cool, for my next meal, I'm not going to harp on about the donut or the packet of chips. For my next meal, I'm going to make sure it is loaded with colorful veggies and protein. And you just carry on. You carry on with life, whether it's a Monday or a Friday. Like, there shouldn't be like good days and bad days, like good meals and bad meals. So I feel very strongly about that.
I love this so much because I think this applies in business as well. So easy to let a bad day of business, a client leaves, sales call goes wrong, launch post didn't get any leads, for you to go, oh, fuck it, nothing works. I need to throw my entire strategy in the bin. I need to change my niche. I need to drop my prices. I'm going to stop posting.
Yeah.
But you would never say that to your clients about their fitness journey. But for some reason, a lot of coaches, when it's their business, go, I'm going to press the fuck it button now. And I'm going to I'm going to be a high rocks coach. I'm sorry. I'm a high rocks hun. I love it. So it's no dig at high rocks, but it's just the principle of like, you can't just throw your whole business in the bin because of a bad week.
Yeah.
I think it's, if you can apply that in fitness and in your mindset into life, like, you can also apply that into business. And what I love so much, Daniela, is when you said consistently average. You do not have to be exceptional at marketing, at sales, at anything other than just keeping going and getting
Yeah,
through the hard
show
days.
up. Yeah, you literally just have to show up. And it's like we're so quick to kind of give up on ourselves if something goes wrong, whether it is in like fitness or nutrition or business. We're so incredibly hard on ourselves. And something that's come up as a beautiful reminder in my menopause calls is, to kind of shift that narrative of like, if your best friend or your sister or someone came up to you and said this about themselves, how would you respond? You would
Yeah,
never say the shit to your friend, your sister that you say to yourself. Never, ever, ever, ever. And I like, of course, that's always a practice too. But I think just continually showing up, even if it is just like 0.5%, is better than nothing. So consistently average, always, always.
I love that. Because we always say, well, I preach that business is simple, but it's not easy, right? Like the difficult part in business is not, how much you have to juggle, is the fact that you need to be consistent with how much you need to juggle. Because
Yes.
how many times have we seen this? You would be able to relate to this, where like coaches lose clients and then they decide to go back and do some marketing and show up again on their content and get consistent with it. I'm like, that's not what should be happening. The same with like Christmas or summer holidays, because in their mind, people won't buy. Suddenly they put their foot off the gas and they stop posting. And I'm like, that's when you should be posting more. That's when you should be more consistent. It's not that hard. It's not really, it's not complicated. It's just doing the right things more and just
Yeah.
like doing it
Do you
consistently.
not think it's like the same thing as like people going, oh my God, I'm going to Ibiza in 3 weeks. I better start eating well.
Yeah.
And then they're like, now I'm going to start going to the gym and eating healthily because I've got my holiday in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
It's like, oh God. Whereas if you eat well all year and you're consistently average, you could book a flight to Ibiza tomorrow and not be stressed. Equally, in business, if you just stick with the plan, you
Yeah.
never have to worry about these
Leave.
big waves and the seasonal drops, because of course no one's signing up over Christmas. Like, it's
Yeah.
Christmas.
Exactly. But I love that it's well, what did you say, Nora? It's easy, but it's hard. What
It's
is it?
simply easy. It's simple, but it's
Yes.
not easy because, like the hats that we have to wear, they're quite a lot, but they're simple, right? You need to do your marketing, show up consistently. You need to be good at sales. So, like, and sales is just a good conversation when you boil it down. Like, it's not,
Yeah.
there needs, I think so many people put pressure on sales to the point where they either get the wrong people in or they don't get them in because they stress too much about it. So it's one or the other. But then if you think about it as a nice conversation, then it just becomes so simple. And then you've got your deliveries, the three pillars of any business, really, isn't it? So, and then the admin and the boring ops stuff. But like it does come down to like 3 to 4 pillars that if you just show up for all 4 consistently, it doesn't have to be too much. You can have a great business that you can rely on and that you have fun with, and and with any business comes stress, but like I think when you do consistently show up, it's good stress. You will always have things to worry about, but you deal with them a bit differently because you're showing up the best way that you can.
Absolutely. And then even if like you're loving what you're doing, even the boring stuff like the admin can also be fun. I mean, Nora, you'll understand that before we started working together, I was doing everything manually. Everything manually. I was probably a bit of a control freak because I want to know exactly what's going on and all of these things. Nothing was automated until I started working with Nora and Jill. And I was just like, wow, I've got so much time on my hands now. Nora's like, why are you doing this to yourself? Like nothing is automated. Just like a sucker for punishment.
Well,
So yeah.
when
So
you're
thank
so
you.
used to like doing everything manually, it's such a like giving that up is so like difficult. And I think we've had a few conversations back then. I was like, Daniela, you need to let go.
I was very resistant at first. I was like, I don't know, I'm quite happy though, the way that things are going. But like in the back of my mind, I was like, oh shit, I need to like check that invoice as completed and all the anyway, whatever. Thank you for making my life amazing.
Of course. Come a long way.
Yeah.
It's such a, I think, yeah, like even manual stuff and boring stuff can be, a bit enjoyable. We love our tracking nowadays, don't we, G? Like we've got a tracker. No
You
way.
know what? I was always a bit like, oh, I've got to complete my KPIs when I had a job. But when it's your own business and you're tracking like metrics, there's something so much more rewarding about moving needles and looking at the numbers, because you're like, I'm building this. These
Yeah.
numbers like correlate to like my life and my path and my goals. And like, it's just so much more meaningful that like
Yes.
it baffles me that there are business owners that don't know their numbers, because
Yeah.
I'm like, how can you sleep at night?
Yeah.
I would just be like, what's my case?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Because then you can see like the fruits of your labor as well. Otherwise, you just kind of, I don't know,
Pissing
white
in the
knuckling,
wind.
pissing in the wind. Exactly. I love it. Absolutely.
If I was to ask you, Daniela, over the last few years of having your own business, coaching these incredible women, reflecting on the last few years, what has been the biggest lesson for you so far in business?
Always to, in terms of like the clients and the coaching aspect, is to always just coach the woman in front of you. Never assume they want a certain goal or a certain outcome. Like, really, it's such a personal experience and like relationship that you build with these women. And it's like, so showing up authentically so that they can feel that they can do the same and coach the women in front of you. And in terms of business, like the biggest thing that I've learned is it really is just about being consistent and showing up as yourself and having your ducks in a row, even though those ducks can be very boring and sometimes they aren't even ducks at all. Sometimes they're pigeons, and it's like, it's going to be ugly and it's going to be messy. But I think like, this is also going to sound a little bit cheesy, guys. I'm sorry, but like being able to kind of have that self belief and to like still show up on the really difficult days and ask for help. Ask for help and support. Like, I'm not a tech savvy person at all, but Jill has changed the game for me.
You mentioned about like showing up on the hardest days as well. Across the years, like, was there a period where you did find like you found particularly hard? Like, is there anything that stands out to you that you were like, oh, I wish I'd done this different looking back?
Yeah. I think like a particularly hard time for me, just like in my own kind of mental and emotional space, was when I was drinking really heavily. But I was showing up online as this person who trains all the time and like eats really well. But like behind the scenes, I was like, not to be dramatic, but like slowly but surely kind of killing myself and showing up as this person who actually didn't have it all together at all. And I was showing this kind of like fake persona online. And so then I really grappled with feeling like a fraud and like, how can I tell women to lead this really healthy lifestyle and live a certain way when I'm like, as soon as the camera is off, I'm drinking to the point that I black out, multiple times a week. And it was just like, that for me was a really hard thing. And I was like, am I even good at this? How can I show up in this way that's like not actually at all who I am? So kind of getting out of that dark spell, it's like the best thing I ever did ever for myself, my business, my clients, my mental health, was to
Yeah.
quit drinking. I think that's really where I saw my business really fly, because I was able to kind of cut the ball and chain off, like this big dark secret. And I'm very open about it on socials and things like that. And I'm grateful that so many people have been so receptive to it as well, because it's gotten a lot of people to kind of question their own relationship with alcohol and if they want to kind of cut back and stuff like that. So that, even though that was such a dark time for me, it's also turned out to be the biggest blessing that really kind of just got things to kind of really take off after that. So yeah, it was hectic.
Thank you for sharing that. That's so inspirational, and obviously, like, I'm sure a lot of people listening can relate to that. Because it is, you don't realize you're in something until you're kind of too far gone off often.
Yeah.
With like going through something so sort of, you use the word hectic. I know in South Africa,
Yeah.
everyone uses the word hectic.
Yeah, it's very South African. Yeah.
Pretty hectic. Going through something like that whilst running a business and having the responsibility of like holding space for other women, how did you navigate like that? Because that's such a hard thing to do, to give up drinking. Did you go to a support group, or like, can you share, like, for anyone listening who might be considering that, like what the steps were to go down that path? Because it must be really, really hard.
No, absolutely. I think I first just want to start off by saying, like, in terms of showing up as a coach when I was actively drinking very heavily, it it was so weird the dialogue I would say to myself. I would be hungover, I'd feel like shit, but I knew that I had a program to put together. And I'd like spun this weird little web in my mind that I was like, oh, when I drink, I get really creative. So I'm just gonna sit here with like a bottle of whiskey and I'm gonna and like program these workouts for women. And like, yes, they were great, they were cool, but I was like, I just had this block that I couldn't do anything unless I had some like alcohol in my system. And like, I really am probably not doing myself any favors, but this is like back in 2021. I would sometimes hop onto like calls after having had a drink or two because I felt like I really just needed to show up more personably. And I was like, fuck man, this is like I cannot carry on this way. It's just like relying, like it was my crutch. It was like my everything, you know? So for me, like it was interesting because when I was in university, you know, in university, everyone's like going on, you're drinking, you're partying. And then, like, as the years went on, my friend group, they kind of outgrew that, but I never really did. And then, like, the partying out and being sociable then turned into like drinking alone in the evenings, then turned into drinking in secret. And then that's when, you know, that's like, and I heard this one quote was like, if you think you have a problem with alcohol, chances are you do. And I was often always thinking, I was like, shit, do I have a problem with it? Or and anyway, so then I'd like grappled with the idea and I said to myself, I was like, okay, cool, this is gonna be my last fucking bender. I'm gonna shoot the lights out and then tomorrow I'm gonna stop. And I did. I went to a couple of like in-person AA meetings, and there's lots of different kind of things that you can do for support. I originally started just kind of going it alone, and that didn't really help. I did tell my friends and family, and I think everyone was kind of in denial. They were like, "But you're like the party girl. You're the one, like first one in, last one out." You know, my biggest kind of like flex was that I could like outdrink the biggest dude in the bar. Anyway, and then for me personally, like the AA, it's a fantastic community and support system, but it just wasn't what worked for me. I found like really sharing my story, telling friends and family, like, hey, this is like, I'm deadly serious about this. I would love to have like a little bit more compassion around the topic and things like that. Stopped for 10 months, thought I had it under control, drank again, did not have it under control. And now, yeah, now I'm a year and a half sober. So I'm really, really grateful. And having the support from like my partner and friends and family is like, that's what's really kind of helped me stay on the course. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
That's
congrats.
really
No, it's not.
inspiring. And
Thank
yeah, I think that's, yeah, thank you for sharing that. It's
you.
really,
Of
yeah,
course.
it's really powerful.
Thank
And I'm
you.
sure a lot of women that come to you, you know, are very inspired by like your openness and vulnerability that you, how you speak about it, and
Mhm.
yeah, and how you can
Thank
support them as well.
Yeah, I mean, I hope like at least just one person listening to this, if it makes them, you know, like you can reach out to me, we can chat. So if it can help just one person who maybe feels like they need a bit of support, then yeah. But like I said, going back to business, it's definitely been like the best thing that I could have done because I'm actually
Yeah.
excited, like naturally excited. And I've realized that shit, I don't actually need a drink in me to show up as like as myself. I always thought that like that version of me wasn't, yeah, I don't know. I just felt like I couldn't show up organically or authentically unless I'd like drank. And I was like, oh, fuck, that couldn't be further from the truth. So yeah, really grateful.
I think on that as well, with being so vulnerable, I can imagine that's not easy on socials.
Mm,
Anyone who maybe isn't even going through something similar, but is going through something else, seeing that vulnerability would get them to relate to you, to then at some point want to be coached by you. And I think that's so like, we see this all the time with the coaches that are more authentic and they do share their struggles and they do share, because I think a lot of people see coaches and they're like, oh, they've got it all figured out. Because they're a coach, they know, they're fine with food. Their relationship with food has always been perfect. And they've always, exercised. And they've always been, muscular and, look that way and X, Y, and Z. And I think there's all these assumptions about being a coach that are not necessarily true. We all have a journey. And to become a coach, you need to have a bigger purpose and you need to like, almost have gone through something to be at the point where you are in a position to help other people because you get them more. Like I think I've always said coaching is not about the perfect training plan or the perfect nutrition plan. It's about being able to get someone from A to B by getting them to commit to that and understand the why behind it. Because that's what gets people consistent, whether that's in fitness or business, is understanding the why to get them there, and the why being big enough to get there as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And let me tell you, as coaches, we're not perfect. No ways. But I think it's like the big thing is being able to have that like self-awareness and like your thinking patterns. If it's like, oh, I just had some chocolate, whatever, it doesn't matter because yeah, and I think it's like you sometimes need to like coach yourself through the process as well. And to just also like make it known that you're also just human and you don't get it right all the time. I think that's really important. But I love what you said about having a why. And something that I want to start kind of incorporating into my own coaching is to everyone who signs on needs to think about their mission statement. And really like write it down, have their like core values that they can always come back to and share it with me so that then, because if you don't have a why, you're again, like G said, you're pissing in the wind. It's almost like your North Star, keep you on track and like really get you to do like that like introspective work as well of like, why am I doing this? Am I doing it for other people to tell me how good I look, or is it something deeper than that? Yeah, I love it. I love it.
No pissing in the wind around here, guys. We need a very clear target so we're accurate with that.
We need to be accurate without pissing.
Exactly.
It's such a beautiful conversation.
Yeah, all the pissing
And all that stuff. Wholesome. Should we do a bit of like fun, like curveball questions?
Yeah, just before we wrap up, because I'm conscious that we've taken so much of your time. But okay, right, quick fire,
Okay.
Daniela. What is your biggest fitness industry ick?
Oh my god, this is supposed to be quick. Training fasted.
Okay.
Yeah.
Love it. What's the most, obviously you mentioned haters earlier, what's the most unhinged DM or comment that you've ever gotten from someone that you were like why would someone like even?
It wasn't a DM, but there was someone who was just like incessantly commenting on the same post like 50 times, being like, you don't know what you're talking about. Who is this chick? Look at her stupid face. And I was like, okay, on you go. Like, you can't unfollow. But it was like unhinged. It was like on the same one. I was like, okay, move along.
We had one the other day. It was we've been doing some ads, and there's an ad, and it was a video of me talking, and this man decided to post GIFs on the video of me talking, and he was choosing different like puppets. So he was obviously calling me a muppet or something, right? But like he put 10 separate comments with different weird little puppets and was just spam hating puppet GIFs. Oh, little did he know it made my day.
Like, that's better to do. Oh my
God. No, I was like, Nora, I've made it. I'm getting so many comments right now. But what
listen, he's just helping the algorithm. The algorithm's like, okay, this post is good. Let's push it out to more people. So
it's so funny that someone would sit for that long and
the things that people do on social media. I never get keyboard warriors. Like I don't understand the concept. I was watching a story yesterday of someone who has quite a big following, and he was saying how like he has someone whenever he posts, that specific person comments on every single post, and he comments the date, the timestamp in New York. So he's like, "Good morning, sir. It's 8:33. Have a great day."
Got yourself a turbo fan there. Jeepers. Why?
It's like the most, it's such a weird concept. How like
weird. People can be so weird and strange online.
So funny. We digress from our quick fire. Okay, favorite food.
I'm supposed to be so quick at this. This is gonna sound so lame, but guys, My partner's stir fries. They're so good.
Oh no, that's nice.
So
They're really
cute.
delicious.
Surge's stir fries, nice.
Yes, we call them surge fries. Sorry.
Brilliant.
I hate that I said that.
We're keeping that in. Okay. Okay, so if Instagram disappeared tomorrow,
What would
what
you
you doing instead?
Probably back at the gym. Train people in person. Fuck it.
Nice.
I love this industry. Like, I'm not changing industries, definitely not.
Okay, I guess maybe to wrap up, if someone who's watching this episode is inspired from everything that you've said and wants to grow a business and start showing up on socials and build their personal brand, what do you think should be the number one thing they focus on?
Don't overthink it. I know that probably also sounds really generic and cheesy, but like in the online space, there's everything is very much like similar. You know what I mean? But no one is you. Again, I know this sounds so cheesy, but it really is the truth. And like, speak from the heart. Don't try and copy what someone else is doing. Maybe take inspo, but like, give your own opinion. Like, tap into what it is that you truly believe and show up as yourself, and don't overthink it. None of us get it right the first time. I still don't get it right. It's just the matter is that you're showing up for yourself, and the more you do it, the better it'll get. And you'll get so many people who resonate. Like, don't do what I did and not show up authentically and waste so many years of just like, being who you're not. So just believe in yourself and don't overthink it. Just do it.
Just do it.
Just
I
do
love
it.
that. That's amazing. And if anyone listening wants to follow you, work with you, where can our lovely listeners find you, Daniela?
Yeah, well, I'm most active on Instagram. So you can find me at coach_cords, CORDS.
Beautiful. And thank you so much for joining us and for sharing and all the giggles. It's been amazing to have you as a guest on the podcast. So
thank you so much. And sorry, one last thing before we go. Whatever happened to, didn't you guys, you were supposed to have a little jingle?
You remembered?
I like our jingle as well. And Georgia only wanted to play on one episode.
No, because do you not remember? I couldn't
Bring the
find
jingle.
it, and then I played it the wrong thing, and then I kept playing.
Once we tried to replay it on another episode, and then Georgia played a random
voice note from my brother. It's like, hi, Georgia. No, not that. But we do need to record like an official jingle. Maybe we do that whilst we're away later this week, Nora. We could
maybe
sing one. But
otherwise, I was just going to start singing to you.
Well, go on.
No, guys, thank you so much for having me on. Yeah, I've absolutely loved chatting.
Thank you so much for a great conversation. We appreciate you. You are amazing and inspire so many women. So keep being you. And guys, I hope you like this one, and we'll see you on the next one.
Yay! Bye.
Adios. Ciao.